And what about us? How does science fiction see men as we know them evolving in the future?
Yeah.
And what about your own personal thoughts on this?
Science fiction often portrays human beings developing much faster than we really can. When we look at evolution, we're looking at millions of years. And then maybe tens of thousands of years if you're talking about the different kinds of humanity that have developed in the past, say, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 years. So you see people in science fiction talking about how 1,000 years from now, our heads will be these giant, massive things holding these huge brains. I don't think we're going to evolve physically all that much. There will be some distinct changes that take place because of the environment that we're creating for ourselves. So there are things that will happen to us. I think generally speaking, we will not change that much. But we will have to think in different ways. We'll have to interact with the world in different ways, as we do now. People nowadays, especially those who have grown up in the past 10, 15 years, people take the internet for granted. They don't understand a time when it didn't exist. Well, I do. And some of the radical changes that have taken place in the way people think and the way they expect information to be available at their fingertips every single second of the day so that they can't move without looking into a little screen in their hand. Those are radical changes that you can see happening very quickly. So I think that we're going to see a lot more of that. And I think that, one of my students said something interesting the other day, and she meant it quite differently from how I understood it. She said that generations are shorter nowadays. And she meant physically, which I found curious. I don't think so. But I took it to mean something else, and I think that if she had meant it that way, it would have been a brilliant insight, is that the difference between one generation and another generation shrinks. Or let me say, the time between one generation and another shrinks. So that 10 years from now, you will be talking to people about what is culturally important to you, the singers, the games, the activities, and so on, the way you interact with the internet, whatever it is. 10 years from now, you'll talk to people who will not know what you're talking about. They say, oh, seriously, you are so old-fashioned. And so it's that kind of change that we're really seeing, the cultural ones, the intellectual ones.